go here, do Control L. Let's save this. Go here into my documents. Let me shut the motor down so I can talk a little bit easier here. Let's go into our session files, and we'll call this TC test. Okay, so what we're finding here is that I put the ground speed, just for this test purpose right now, I put my ground speed here, just so we can very clear what we're talking about and how I'm doing this, just so you know, and you can replicate it on your car. Go into the speed and frequency, and if we go here into our ground speed, remember that we assigned our digital 4 here to our ground speed. Even though that's not correct, we're just doing it right now so we can test this out, just so we can see the kind of cause and effect by programming different amounts in the spark table and the retard table so we can get a feel for what's going to happen. So this scalar here is 0.4, and the other scalar in our driven speed that is correct, we've assigned our driven wheel speed, to virtually pair with our vehicle speed. We've calibrated the vehicle speed. We've set the same calibration scale for the driven speed, so those are correct. So if we're looking through here in our data log, we're seeing that our vehicle speed's 36. We're finding the driven speed here is 38. They're pretty close. We'd probably have to tweak that maybe just a little bit. Again, looking in here, we'd have to go into our values. Let's close that. We'd have to go in right here and just tweak this value here. So we want to see that they're identical. Looking at that, they're slightly off. So that would just be a little bit of minor adjustment there. Now, again, we're looking at our ground speed, just getting back to this. This value is 0.4, which is going to be cutting our value here roughly in half. So we can see driven speed 38, ground speed 18. The reason why it's reading 18 is because we have our scalar here that we've went in and fiddled with just to have this simulated traction control. Now normally your rear wheel speed sensor will be on your rear wheel. So normally if you're running a factory ABS sensor and a reasonable sized tire, you can start off with a value here of 0.82, 0.83. That'll be pretty close to having your rear wheel speed sensor tracking to the correct mile per hour. Again, you have to tweak that, and you're gonna have to assign this to your actual non-driven wheel speed sensor. So we see the NL wheel speed sensor. I'm gonna set that back right now because that's the proper way to configure it. And again, you can check that scaled output as you're driving on the road looking at your ground speed. You wanna go and set both of these to the same here. In this case, we don't have to worry about the other one, the other ground speed, right? We can see it is paired here for the scaling. That's gonna be fine. So we only need to pair one of the ground speed sensors as we're finding right there. So I've set that back to the scaled amount, but let's just jump in here. I wanted to just point out how we were getting ground speed when I only have the front wheels turning on the dyno. So again, this would be the simulated way you could do this and test it. So if we're looking at this right now, we're gonna see that we're starting to get into, if we're looking right here, we're at 3,000 RPM, and my throttle here is at 17% throttle. The conditions were 2,000 RPM and 25% throttle. As soon as I exceed my throttle threshold here, we can see right here, 25% throttle. We've exceeded the RPM threshold already. We're at 3,000. The minimum was 2,000. It turns on the traction control. So the reason why it's calculating an ignition retard amount and the spark cut, and starting to cut spark, is because we're calculating a measured slip of 21 mile per hour difference, looking at our driven and undriven wheel speeds. So if you're driving your car in your racing conditions and you're starting to get a difference between those two, that's going to be what it's going to look for. We specified 4 mile per hour allowable difference. If we jump back. Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here, and you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.